All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that sounds like it's straight out of a disaster movie, but it's a very real, very dangerous event in emergency medicine, the crush injury. And here's the crazy part. It's a situation where the moment you think is the safest, the moment of rescue, can actually be the most deadly. So, that brings us to this central, mind-bending question. How on earth can the moment of rescue be the most dangerous moment of all? It goes against everything we think we know, right? But stick with me, because understanding the answer to this is quite literally the difference between life and death. Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine someone is trapped. Maybe it's rubble from an earthquake, a collapsed building, or even some heavy machinery and an industrial accident. A part of their body, say a leg or an arm, is pinned. It's under this immense, crushing weight. And for everyone involved, the rescuers, the victim, the goal is crystal clear, right? Get them out, now. But, and this is the big but, what if that very act of freeing them, of lifting that weight, is what unleashes a total cascade of deadly consequences inside their body? It's a terrifying paradox. And to really get why this happens, we have to zoom way in and look at what's going on at the cellular level. So, before we go any further, we've got to get our terms straight. There are three key concepts here that sound similar and are often confused, but believe me, knowing the difference is absolutely essential to understanding the whole picture. First up, we have the crush injury. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's the direct damage. Think torn muscles, smashed blood vessels, broken bones, all the physical destruction happening right there where the pressure is. It's the local problem. Okay, but then you've got crush syndrome, and this is where things get way, way more dangerous. This isn't local anymore. We're talking about a systemic, full-body crisis. This happens when all the toxic gunk from those dead and dying muscle cells gets loose and floods the entire body. It's basically a self-poisoning event. And the third piece of the puzzle is compartment syndrome. Now, this one is local again, but it's nasty. The swelling inside the injured limb gets so intense, so tight, that it literally chokes off its own blood supply. It's like having a tourniquet on the inside, strangling the tissue from within. So here's how you can think about it. You've got the local damage, the initial crush injury, and maybe that internal swelling from compartment syndrome. But the real monster, the systemic threat, is crush syndrome. It's the one that takes a localized disaster and turns it into a full-blown, body-wide emergency that can shut down your heart and kidneys. Okay, so let's go back to that trapped person. While the rescue team is working on the outside, there's a ticking time bomb on the inside. What is actually happening in that compressed limb, minute by minute? This, right here, this number is huge, 4 hours. Once a limb has been compressed for more than 4 hours, the risk of developing that deadly systemic crush syndrome goes through the roof. It's a critical tipping point. So for those 4+ hours, what's going on? Well, the muscle cells are being completely cut off from oxygen and blood flow. That's called ischemia. And without oxygen, they start to die. They literally fall apart. This process is called rhabdomyolysis. As these cells rupture, they leak all their toxic insides, think of it like a poisonous sludge, into the stagnant blood that's trapped right there in the limb. And this brings us to the moment of rescue, the moment the weight is lifted. Medically, it's called reperfusion, when the blood rushes back in. But in a crush injury, it's not a gentle return. It's the moment the dam breaks. And here it is. This is the answer to that paradox we started with. The second that weight is gone, blood flow is restored. And that sudden rush of blood acts like a tidal wave, picking up that entire toxic stew that's been brewing for hours and flushing it directly into the person's central circulation. It's a system-wide poisoning all at once. So what's in this toxic cocktail? Well, you've got a couple of major villains. First, there's myoglobin. It's a big protein from the muscle cells that makes a beeline for the kidneys and clogs them up like pouring gravel into a delicate filter. But the even more immediate threat is potassium. A massive surge of potassium hits the bloodstream, and it can literally stop the heart, instantly. So you can imagine paramedics on the scene are on high alert for this. They're looking for two different sets of clues. You have the local signs, they call them the 6 Ps, things like pain, paleness, paralysis in the limb itself. But what they're really watching for are the systemic signs, things like dark tea-colored urine, that's the myoglobin clogging the kidneys, or a dangerously irregular heartbeat. These are the red flags that tell them the toxic flood is already happening. Okay, so if just getting them out is the big danger, how in the world do you save someone?
Well, you can't stop the flood, but you can prepare for it. The entire strategy is about treating the patient for the poisoning before they're even rescued. And this quote right here says it all. This is the absolute golden rule, the single most important thing in all of crush injury care. You have to start aggressive IV fluid resuscitation before that trapped part is free. You're literally in a race against yourself, a race against the moment of rescue.
So what does that actually look like? It means getting an IV started and pumping that person full of fluids. I mean, we're talking liters and liters of saline. The whole idea is to get the body's pipes, the circulatory system, as full as possible. This does two things. It helps dilute the toxic shock when it comes, and it gives the kidneys a fighting chance to flush out all that myoglobin sludge that's on its way. Now remember that killer potassium, the heart stopper? That's called hyperkalemia, and it is public enemy number one. Rescuers have a specific three-punch combo to fight it. First, they give IV calcium. This doesn't lower the potassium, but it acts like a shield for the heart, protecting it from the potassium's effects. Then they give insulin and dextrose, which basically tricks the body into shoving that potassium out of the blood and back into the cells, where it's less dangerous. Finally, sodium bicarbonate helps to fix the body's acid balance and helps the kidneys get rid of the rest. So let's bring this all together. When we talk about surviving a crush injury, it's so much more than just the physical act of rescue. It's about fighting an invisible war that's happening inside the body. So let's recap the crucial points. You've got hyperkalemia, the high potassium, as the immediate threat that can kill you in minutes. Then you've got myoglobin, the delayed threat that takes out your kidneys. The absolute most dangerous moment is not while they're trapped, but right after they're freed. And the key to it all, the one thing that changes everything, is getting those IV fluids in early and aggressively, before the pressure ever comes off. And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? We have the science. We understand this incredibly complex process. We know how to save people from what should be an unsurvivable event. But all of that knowledge is useless without properly trained and equipped first responders on the ground. The science is there, but it's the people, the paramedics, the rescue teams, who turn that science into a saved life.